Welcome to the Nutrigenomic Nation podcast with Brian Highfield, certified nutritionist, author, speaker, and founder of multiple successful companies in the health world. Brian is known for educating healthcare professionals and others on improving their health and their life through breakthroughs in nutrition, technology, and biochemistry. On the podcast, Brian interviews thought leaders in the world of nutrition and natural health. He and his guests share the secrets of a whole life natural approach to health and the life-altering results you can get by making easy changes to your diet and daily routine.
All right, well, welcome to Nutrigenomic Nation. And today we have a very special guest. We have Dr. Brigitte Rozenberg, who is a chiropractor from Southern California. So welcome to our program, Dr. Rozenberg.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
For sure. And we want our audience to get to know you a little bit. So can you tell us a little bit about your background? I mean, what made you want to become a chiropractor in the first place?
Yes, sure. So I've been practicing for about 25 years, and I'm coming from a family of physicians. My mother was a family physician for many years. Immigrated from Russia to Israel, and then I came here. So I always wanted to stay in the healthcare space. I was very drawn to treating patients. I saw her and her passion of working with people. Family practice is very different than a specialty. You kind of see a little bit of everything, and you hear everybody's stories. So it was something that I felt very connected to. Even when I was in high school and in college, those are the classes that I felt more connected to. I like the sciences, biology, anatomy, kind of came natural to me more than anything else. And so you're kind of drawn to whatever comes more natural to you. I found chiropractic, it was interesting. I was going to college here in LA, and I was involved in an accident myself, and I was going to a chiropractor for treatment. Someone recommended for me to go see this person because I just had back pain. And it was just such a great experience. I enjoyed the interaction with the patient. I enjoyed the treatment. It was kind of like, you're really treating the patient, but it's nothing too invasive. So it kind of it just felt like it was the right thing. And I always liked physical therapy or things of that nature. So chiropractic school was just, I said, well, let me try. I'll do all my prerequisites. I'll see if I could get into that school. And it was just sometimes things go easy, and you kind of try to it's not the easy road, but you just kind of try to go the road that gives you less challenges and less obstacles. And for me, it was just, it was meant to be. I really, really enjoyed the schooling. I enjoyed the profession. I enjoyed the interaction with the patient. I enjoy that physical feel that you have to really work on someone and kind of like, hold their hand when they're in pain, or, I see people in a lot of pain. I never thought that over my career, I'll see people in so much pain and that suffer from so much trauma, because even soft tissue musculoskeletal conditions can be extremely disabling, debilitating, where it really affects someone's life. And the good thing is that, you thank God you don't deal with conditions that are life-threatening, but they're extremely disabling. So there's a little bit of a difference there. So this is kind of how I fell into going to chiropractic school, and I just enjoyed practicing. It was just something that, it just felt natural to me. And fast forward 25 years later, the interesting thing is that I was thinking that I'm going to kind of like not slow down, because I'm not the kind of person to retire, but I'm, definitely not in that age group too. But I just felt like I'm going to do, a little bit different. I'm going to, I created a product that I will talk about in a minute. And I thought I'm going to, do a little bit less of that and concentrate on the product. And, when you do something for so long, you kind of say, okay, well, I'll do it for a few days a week. But in the process of me promoting my product to the world and to my profession, I almost found another passion, which is, another treatment that I provide in my practice, which I will share with you in a minute. So it was just really interesting that someone's career can go one way, and then you think, you're accomplished, you established, you did already your thing, you mastered your craft in this area, in this little box, and then all of a sudden something new comes up, and you find yourself immersed in it almost more than it was in the beginning. And it was just a very interesting thing. So this is kind of a little bit my background of where I started, where I'm going. But to sum it up, I treat people in acute and chronic pain. That's my thing. Pain is that's the kind of patients I attract. And these are people that are in a lot of pain and they're suffering. So
There's a lot of them
naturally
out there, right? I mean, there's a lot of people out there suffering in pain. I mean, it's very common. I mean, almost everyone I meet, get to know them well enough, right? They're always complaining about some sort of pain, whether it be their back or their neck or legs or something. And so there's a huge need out there. And I know that you have like this whole body approach to really find the root of the issue. Can you talk about that?
Yes. So, when you deal with pain comes from somewhere. It doesn't just appear out of nowhere. And you need to really, in the conventional, and I am not against conventional medicine, or I'm not against, my mother was a physician and a lot of my family members were, so I'm not against that, but you have to look at the root cause of the problem. You can't just constantly mask. And pain is something that if they don't know where it's coming from, they're just going to give you pain medication. If they don't know where it's, what's the origin, is like rest or take this or take that or stretch or exercise. And you can't always look at pain like that, because you always have to see where is it coming from and why is the patient in so much pain. When the conditions are more serious, doctors do tend to do their investigation, but many times you can't find anything, which is a good thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing that all the tests come out negative, but there's always something more to investigate. And musculoskeletal pain is always a very hidden kind of a silent cause of a great disability. And this is what I found in my practice. I refer almost every single person to get imaging, either MRI or x-rays or anything like that, because you never know what you're going to discover, and you cannot see through a person's body. You got to look inside. They're complaining of neck pain that's chronic for so many years. They've been giving this medication, that medication, physical therapy, massages, whatever. You got to look deeper. Sometimes if it's not a serious issue, a lot of the doctors just brush it off, not for bad reasons. It's just, there's nothing to do. I mean, do that. So when you look at a whole body approach and you take those test results and you take the imaging, and a person comes back, for example, with a condition that we call in our practice very common, a herniated or bulging disc, something that causes sciatica, which is a term that a lot of people know, which is a back pain with radiating pain down the leg. That is extremely debilitating, disabling condition. And there's not necessarily much that can be done except take medication, do some stretching, do exercise, rest, whatever, unless it's a major problem, and then they're being recommended surgery. But in my practice and in our profession, there is a lot of new technologies that we incorporate in practice that really, really help tremendously all those patients without the use of unnecessary drugs, unnecessary injections that don't really help at all. They just mask the pain on a deeper level. And that's called non-surgical spinal decompression. So in my practice, I take a full body approach where I take the imaging, I then come up with a diagnosis, because the imaging will give you a clear picture. And I put a treatment plan together that's based on very high advanced technologies. So, the technologies in today's world, like I always say, the cell phone that you have today is not the cell phone that we all had 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. Things are evolving and advancing, and you can get really great result if you put all these technologies together. Then we add the topical cream that I created. I created it first, then I jumped into the technology, but it kind of like found me in the middle somewhere.
What's the story about this cream? It's called
Mineralgia.
Yes, thank you. So what's the story behind that? Where did that come from?
Yeah, so I'm originally from Israel, and I visited the Dead Sea. We have a sea called the Dead Sea, which is the lowest point on Earth. It's extremely rich in minerals, and it's a very concentrated body of water. So it's not a sea you go to swim in. You cannot swim in it. It's very dense, so you can only float in it. But my mother, as a doctor, used to go there. She lived there few times a year. And she always said that if you have any kind of aches and pains, and people from all over the world used to go there or still do, you just have to immerse yourself in the water for 3-4 days at a time, and all your aches and pains will go away for a very long period of time. Because, you know, the skin is very porous. So when you sit in that concentrated salty water, think about it, they tell you sometimes soak in Epsom salts.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you actually soak in this really rich mineral body of water, you can really get a great anti-inflammatory effect. So unfortunately, I lost my mother several years ago, and fast forward, I decided to, I'm going to go back for a little bit. I created the product in 2006 in Israel because I wanted to bring in, as I was traveling there with my mother, I wanted to bring in a pain relief to my patient, because everything I found in my practice, the ones that we use in our offices, the doctors use, it wasn't of anything of high quality. It was either smelling bad, or it was burning to the skin, or it was, you know, unpleasant, or left you this dry residue. So it wasn't anything of quality. So I said, you know, why don't I put this amazing Dead Sea salt in a bottle and take it with me? Well, you know, it doesn't really work that way, as you can imagine. You got to create a product. And so I brought it in 2006. I used it in my practice and used it on my patients and some of my close colleagues. But, you know, it was very difficult with the importing, exporting, and all that situation. But fast forward several years after I lost my mother, I decided that, you know, I really needed to recreate this, really take it to the world. It was just something that I felt connected to her. And it was, you know, we kind of both had this in common because we were both coming from that industry, but not exactly. So there was something that I'm not a family physician, naturally. Mm-hmm. So I recreated it in 2009 and I launched it. So I made it in the United States. And we follow all the FDA protocols and all the FDA guidelines to make it an OTC product. We follow all the regulations. They do all the stability testing and, you know, made sure that the integrity of the product stays the same. So the manufacturing facility that I use, it actually imports the salts from the Dead Sea. And, you know, Dead Sea there are a lot of skincare products out there, anti-aging, that have Dead Sea salts in them, but there's nothing for pain. There wasn't anything for pain that was available. So that's, you know, long and short version of.
Yeah, talk a little bit about the results. I mean, it's a high quality, obviously, the way you just described, but what are patients and some of your colleagues saying about it?
So the Mineralgia cream is, it's very high quality because it's vegan, it's gluten-free, it is completely clean. Even the emulsion system is made out of plant-based material. It's 98% natural, which means the 2% that's not natural, it's only the preservative system to prevent mold and bacteria from growing. You don't want any mold and bacteria in anything you use, so you have to have something. It's very, very safe to use on adult and children, pregnant women. It has no salicylates. Salicylate is a medicinal chemical that's found in the common pain relieving cream, the Icy Hots, the Bengays, the Salon Passes, which is the patches. Mm-hmm. You cannot use any kind of pain relief. You cannot use for more than maybe once or twice within 24-hour period, because it can penetrate through the skin and can affect your liver, so that it's not safe. Mineralgia, it's all clean. It has the Dead Sea salts. It has magnesium and arnica for pain and inflammation. Also has a little camphor and menthol that gives you this cooling effect. And I also added 11 essential oils that are, each one of them is really, it was handpicked by me because of their effectiveness for pain, inflammation, arthritis, muscle spasm. So for example, I have mandarin oil extract. Mandarin oil is a natural analgesic. Olive oil is a natural anti-inflammatory. So when you put all those together with the salt, it not only gives you this cooling sensation and it's soothing, it's actually healing. So, you know, salt acts as a magnet to inflammation. And so when you put it on an inflamed area, you really get great results and a relief of pain. So you don't have to pop pills all day long, because, you know, if you take if you hear people tell you I have to take Advil 5 times a day because I can't suffer from the pain, you know, you can rub mineralgia on you 5 times a day, and it's much safer in terms of the product quality than taking Advil 5 times a day.
Yeah, absolutely. So it sounds like a wonderful alternative pain relief cream product. What other type of therapies do you offer out of your office? I know you do some pretty cutting edge technology based things that a lot of our audience may have never heard of. So what are some of the other approaches that you take?
Right, thank you. And so I use a variety of technological modalities that I chose and I was studied, and I did a lot of postgraduate programs on. One of them is non-surgical spinal decompression. So one of my biggest specialties is to treat people with herniated and bulging disc. Basically, those are patients that they were told that they may need surgery, or they were told that surgery is an option, but if they can handle it without, then it's up to them. Or they had 2 or 3 epidural injections in their back and neck and nothing really worked for them for severe pain. They have pinched nerve, they can't walk. Basically, their quality of life is pretty much, extremely diminished. So non-surgical spinal decompression is a technology based on it's all based on research. It was developed by Dr. Sheely, the doctor that developed actually Dr. Sheely is the one who did a lot of research on it. It was developed by a doctor that developed the defibrillator many years ago. And it's a big table that has a tower. I'm just kind of describing the technology itself. Mm-hmm. And it's all computer generated. So we are inputting into the computer the data that we find from the MRI results that were taken on a patient. Their age, their weight, their height, and the location of the disc that we're treating. And we are basically decompressing the spine. So it's very safe. It's non-painful at all. It's extremely relaxing. But when you're decompressing a herniated disc, you're creating negative pressure in the spine, and you allow the disc material to be sucked back into place. So naturally, in the spine, you have vertebrae, and between each vertebra, you have a disc. And I wish I would bring my little model and I would show it to you, but that's okay. And so when you have a herniated disc, the disc is actually pressing on the surrounding structures, which are the nerves. So naturally, gravity constantly puts pressure on the spinal column. So when you're decompressing the disc, you're allowing the body to heal itself. Our body has a tendency to heal itself. Even a broken bone is going to heal itself, and a cut is going to heal itself. You just have to give it a right environment. So when you're decompressing the spine, excuse me, you're allowing the body to send water and oxygen back into the disc. And by doing that, you're rehydrating the disc, and you're sucking the disc material back into the disc space, so it will take the pressure off the nerve root. I don't know if I'm becoming too technical, and if I am, please stop me.
It makes perfect sense, yeah.
But that is an amazing technology that helps anybody that really were told that they need surgery. And we couple this with a Neuromed device by Matrix, which is called electroanalgesic delivery system, which is basically a painkiller that we treat with electricity. It doesn't electrocute the body at all, but it just sends really deep signals to decrease the superficial sensation of pain. So when someone has back pain or neck pain, it sends a signal to the brain, I have pain, and you feel pain because everything is working in our body with nerve signals. Then when they're giving pain medication, it works on the brain and the pain center to numb that pain center. That's why these drugs are so addictive, and we have such a big problem with the opioid epidemic. So the Neuromed, which is the electroanalgesic delivery system, is decreasing the sensation of the pain at the local area. So if the patient has pain in the neck and that's what's causing the pain, it will numb that area without using drugs. So when we do the Neuromed and then we do the decompression and we finish it off with a technology called class 4 lasers, because again, laser is a magnet to blood, and that will stimulate blood flow and increase the cellular level healing. All those 3 are going to give a patient a great result. So we're going to, we prepare the body, we decompress, We use the Neuromed for pain. Then we use the laser to decrease inflammation. And then we give them the mineralgia to use at home as a topical cream, use it 5-6 times a day. Obviously, we give you ice packs and different things, but these kind of treatments are extremely, extremely effective. The decompression treatment and the lasers are all based on research that was done in Mayo Clinic, Johns Hopkins, Stanford University. They have 90% success rate. Our patients are I am just shocked by the results myself, to be very honest with you. And this is, this has been around for a very long time, but it's been perfected in the last several years. So this is kind of like a whole body pain, natural pain management approach. And in my practice, kind of like the motto is that we use advanced natural pain relief therapies. This is how we treat, and the results are just unbelievable.
Yeah, it's amazing when you use scientifically proven and some of these cutting edge technologies that not a lot of people have heard of, that you get these amazing results. And so we've been talking about pain treatment and pain management with Dr. Brigitte Rozenberg, who's a chiropractor from Southern California. Last question for you, Dr. Rozenberg, is if our audience wants to get to know you a little bit more about your practice or how to connect with you, how can they do that?
So my website is called the Spine and Disc Center. I'm also a member of Disc Centers of America. We are an organization throughout the United States of doctors that are held at a higher standard. We do a lot of postgraduate education and research. We're involved in a lot of research on all the technology. So Disc Centers of America, Los Angeles, it's my offices. I have 2 here. And Los Angeles, and the Spine and Disc Center is primarily my personal website. And mineralgia.com is where they can find mineralgia. And if anybody wants any samples, they can either send it through you, or I can give you my email. We'll be happy to share some samples for those patients that are maybe too far to come visit me in the office, but would like some pain relief.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I appreciate that. I'm sure we'll get some takers on that for sure. And so I hope everyone in our audience enjoyed today's episode of Nutrigenomic Nation, where we always talk about topics related to your good health. So next time, join us for another topic related to your natural health. So thank you again, Dr. Rozenberg, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
This show has been produced by Market Domination, LLC. To discover how you can have your own show completely done for you and turn it into a real published book and become the authority in your marketplace, go to www.marketdominationllc.com/podcast offer.